The story of the 2007 USA 1-cent coin with the Denver Mint mark begins long before it ever rolled into circulation. It starts with an era in American coinage when the familiar copper-coated penny was already a symbol of everyday life, tucked into pockets, dropped into jars, tossed onto counters, and forgotten in car consoles. But behind its unassuming appearance, the cent had a rich history tied to American identity, and the 2007 penny was part of that legacy. Imagine a coin that most people would pass without a second glance. Lightweight, a warm copper tone, stamped with a design everyone recognized, the stoic profile of Abraham Lincoln facing right, and on the reverse, the Lincoln Memorial standing proud and symmetrical. By 2007, this design had been in circulation for nearly half a century, and even though billions of pennies were minted each year, each coin had its own microscopic story etched into the surface. The Denver Mint, indicated by the D Mint mark just beneath the date, was responsible for producing a massive portion of America's circulating coinage. The facility had state-of-the-art machinery, capable of churning out coins at incredible speeds, yet every single piece still followed a carefully controlled process. Copper-plated zinc planchets, thin metal discs, were fed into presses where thousands of pounds of pressure struck the design into each one. The dies imprinted the familiar bust of Lincoln with precision and clarity, hoping to create a flawless coin ready to serve in the nation's daily commerce. But as collectors know well, not all coins come out perfectly. Small variations, tiny imperfections, unusual die states, and limited production anomalies can transform an ordinary coin into a fascinating piece of numismatic treasure. And while the 2007 penny is generally common, certain examples stand out due to their condition, luster, or the sheer uniqueness of the story they tell. Even the most ordinary-looking penny can hold surprising value once you take a closer look. Then there are pennies with subtle striking anomalies, extra metal, slight doubling, or die-state distortions, that catch the attention of dedicated collectors who love the detective work involved in identifying them. Even if the coin you're watching this video to learn about doesn't have a dramatic error or an obvious rarity, the mere fact that it is well preserved or carries a particular visual appeal can elevate its desirability. Every year, coin grading services evaluate thousands of pennies, assigning them scores that determine their final market value. A 2007 penny in mint state, especially one with a high grade, can surprise even seasoned collectors. With all of this in mind, you might be wondering how such a simple coin could carry value beyond a cent. The answer lies in its condition and its desirability among collectors. The specific example of the 2007 penny highlighted in this script is valued not because it is rare in quantity, but because it is exceptional in its state of preservation. Its luster, its nearly flawless surfaces, and its striking clarity set it apart from the billions of others minted that year. And one of the most engaging parts of collecting coins is discovering the unexpected. Many collectors stumble upon valuable pieces completely by accident, cleaning out a drawer, sorting through change, or examining coins under better lighting. That moment of surprise, of realizing that what you hold is not merely a cent but a fascinating object with real collector appeal, is part of why numismatics remains such a beloved hobby. This particular coin's journey from a mint in Denver to a collector's hands may have been pure chance. Maybe it sat in a mint roll for years, never opened. Maybe someone recognized its bright, uncirculated shine early and set it aside. However it survived, the result is the same, a coin preserved well enough to earn a respected value in today's collector market. Over the course of the video, you've explored the story behind the 2007 penny, its design rooted in decades of American history, its journey from the Denver Mint's presses, the reasons collectors value it, and the kind of beauty a simple penny can hold when studied in detail. Even a coin that billions of people have handled can rise above the ordinary when it remains in exceptional condition. So now comes the moment you've been waiting for, the value reveal. After considering the coin's condition, eye appeal, and market interest, this particular 2007 penny, in the state it has been preserved, carries a surprising and impressive value. Despite being part of one of the most circulated denominations in American history, this individual coin stands out enough to earn a price that's far beyond what anyone would expect for a 1-cent piece. The 2070 penny you've just learned about is valued at an impressive $1.58. A coin that cost 1 cent to make. A coin most people wouldn't look at twice. A coin you might have seen thousands of times in your life. Yet when preserved at its absolute best, even a humble penny can shine, literally and figuratively, far beyond its face value. And that is the true magic of coin collecting, discovering hidden worth in the everyday, connecting with history through the smallest objects, and appreciating the stories etched into metal. Whether this inspires you to check your own change or simply deepens your appreciation for coins, remember, sometimes the smallest pieces hold the biggest surprises. When most people look at a penny, they see almost nothing. Just a tiny copper-colored disc that rattles lazily in the bottom of a pocket or hides between couch cushions. But what if I told you that one of those ordinary little cents, specifically the 1974 1-cent coin struck at the Denver Mint, has a story full of history, controversy, craftsmanship, and surprising collector appeal? And what if I told you that a certain carefully preserved example of this coin can be worth far more than its face value? Today, I'm taking you on a deep dive into the world of the 1974 penny, a coin that sits at the crossroads of America's economic challenges, evolving minting techniques, and a growing passion among coin collectors. So sit back, relax, and prepare to look at the humble penny in a completely new way. Our story begins in the early 1970s, an era of economic uncertainty, changing monetary policy, and debates about the very future of the U.S. 1-cent coin. Inflation was rising, the cost of materials was becoming a concern, and for the first time in many decades, the United States Mint was openly questioning whether it was practical to continue producing pennies made primarily of copper. The price of copper had climbed dramatically, and the metal content of a penny was creeping dangerously close to equaling its own face value. If the trend continued, it would soon cost the mint more to make a penny than the penny itself was worth. By 1974, this issue had escalated to the point where the government began actively exploring alternative materials for the cent. Test strikes were made with aluminum. Yes, actual aluminum pennies exist, though they were never released to the public and remain among the rarest experimental coins in U.S. history. Congress debated, the Treasury evaluated options, and the general public wondered whether the penny they had known for over a century might soon be replaced by something new and unfamiliar. Let's focus on the Denver Mint. The home of our 1974 cent. Denver was, and still is, one of the busiest coin-producing facilities in the United States. In 1974 alone, it struck more than 4 billion Lincoln cents, making the 1974 one of the most common pennies of its time. With production numbers that high, the overwhelming majority of these coins entered circulation immediately, tossed into cash registers, pockets, and jars within days of being minted. The 1974 cent is a perfect example of this phenomenon, an extremely common coin, but one whose finest examples can command surprising prices because of condition alone. To appreciate what makes a high-grade 1974 penny special, we need to understand what the mint was dealing with at the time. Even though the design of the Lincoln cent had been in use for decades, die wear, strike pressure, and planchet quality varied from year to year. In 1974, the switch from the possibility of copper to aluminum was still being debated internally, creating a somewhat experimental climate at the mint. The 1974 pennies, especially the Denver ones, are part of the final era in which pennies still felt heavy, solid, and rich in their metal content. If you compare a 1974 penny to one made after 1982, you can literally feel the difference in weight. The 1974 reflects the economic struggles of the 1970s, the debates over coinage materials, the long-standing legacy of the Lincoln cent, and the remarkable fact that even mass-produced objects can become valuable when preserved with care. Imagine, for a moment, the journey of a perfectly preserved 1974 penny. Struck at the Denver Mint, it drops from the stamping press onto a conveyor, then into a hopper, then into a mint bag filled with thousands of other pennies. And speaking of value, this brings us to the moment you've been waiting for. Because while most 1974 pennies are worth only a cent, and maybe a few pennies more if they're lightly circulated, the very best examples, the ones preserved with extraordinary care and displaying exceptional detail, can carry a price tag that shocks people who have never looked at coins this closely. A high quality, beautifully preserved 1974 D Lincoln cent, one that showcases stunning luster, sharp strike, and minimal marks, can command collector attention and earn a respectable spot in any serious collection. And the example we're focusing on today, the one at the center of this story, one that stands out for its quality and appeal, currently carries an impressive value of $156. Yes, $156 for a penny minted in huge numbers. It's a reminder that value in the world of numismatics is never solely about rarity. It's about condition, history, preservation, craftsmanship, and the stories wrapped around each piece of metal. It's about the thrill of discovering something extraordinary hidden in plain sight. So the next time you spot a penny, take a moment to look at it a little more closely. You never know what tiny piece of American history might be sitting in the palm of your hand. The 1974 D cent proves that even the most ordinary coin can become something special, something worth far more than its face value, when time, luck, and collector passion come together. And with that, our journey into the world of the 1974 Denver minted Lincoln cent comes to an end. A coin born during a turbulent era, shaped by economic challenges, crafted with traditional methods, and preserved against the odds, now standing proudly with a collector value of $156. Thank you for watching, and may your next handful of change hold a hidden treasure of its own.